target 1, target 2. Impact, first round impact, target 2. Minute 30 remaining, impact, impact.
Hey there, and welcome back. Here we are with a bit of a follow-up video around my experience with the Arken EP5 7-35 rifle scope. Now, if you've been around the channel, you know this scope showed up about a month ago, and I couldn't wait to hit the range to get my initial impressions with the optic. And in that video, I mentioned the idea of using this optic in an extreme long range match at the end of the month, and I received a ton of comments from many of you saying run the scope and give you a look at how it performs in an ELR match. And that's exactly what we've done. So in this video, I want to share my experience running the Arken EP5 7-35 rifle scope in a 2-day extreme long range match that we just completed this past weekend in eastern Idaho. If you like the sounds of that, stick around. What we're going to do in this video, I'm going to run through the gear that I shot in the match. I'm going to give you a look at my 100-yard zero process because I actually learned something shooting this scope and getting ready for the match that I've never done before. I ended up running it in the match and I felt like it worked well, and I can't wait to share it with you. Then we're going to move into a look at the match. We shot from about 700 yards all the way out to 1,500 yards and ran this optic through 2 days of extreme long range shooting. I had plenty of hits, I had a ton of misses. It was extremely windy out, it was tough conditions, but I felt like it was a great experience to be able to run this Arken EP5 7-35 in a 2-day extreme long range match. So if you like the sounds of that, stick around. What we're going to do from here is move into my process at 100 yards and the lesson I learned ahead of the match. Then we'll move into the match footage and we'll finish up here, and I'll review my experience running the scope and give you my thoughts after about probably 300 rounds or so through this optic. So stick around, hope you enjoy the video. How about we take a close-up look at the gear I'm going to run in this video. Now, if you've been around the channel, you're probably going to recognize there's some new stuff going on here. So let's take a close-up look. Now, the rifle I'm going to run is going to be my Barrett MRAD that you've seen many times on the channel. I've had this rifle for some time now. I love this rifle. I love the flexibility of the caliber change. So that's going to bring me to my first new item that I'm excited to chat about, and that's going to be in the barrel. So if you take a look at this barrel, you're going to notice it's flat dark earth, and that's because it's a new Mark 22 contract barrel from Barrett. These are actually online probably now, or they just recently were. I was actually able to snag one of these from Barrett in 338 Norma. Now, I felt like 338 Norma would be kind of a fun caliber to run. That's a new military caliber that was adopted with the Mark 22. And frankly, I was curious to see how it would stack up at long range. Maybe we'll do a video, something like 338 Norma versus 338 Lapua. You'll have to let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see. But for this match, we're going to be shooting my brand new Mark 22 contract barrel in 338 Norma. For ammunition, I'm going to be running the 300 grain Sierra Matchking bullet provided by Sierra. Now, I'm really excited as Sierra has stepped up to partner with me for future content. And in this case, they've provided the 300 grain bullets for me to shoot. And you'll see how they're going to perform throughout the video. In summary, they're going to perform quite well. That 300 grain is going to be a monster bullet to reach out there to long range. So in the 338 Norma barrel, that 300 grain bullet's going to be running about 2750 feet per second or a little bit over it. And I'll show you some of that data throughout the video. At the end of the rifle, you're probably going to notice my Mark 22 suppressor that just got approved recently. These are some of my first rounds running through the Mark 22 suppressor. So this is a Barrett, I believe they call it the AML, but this one in particular is the Mark 22 contract suppressor. It does have the lock on the backside so that will not loosen off. So what you're going to see me run in this video is going to be a commercial Barrett MRAD with a Mark 22 contract barrel, as well as the Mark 22 suppressor. Really excited about this package. It gets me kind of as close as I can get to the military Mark 22 without paying some of the crazy prices that are out there for the kit. So really going to be fun to see how this performs. And I can tell you right now, the suppressor, if you watch throughout the video, it really changes the recoil impulse, at least for me, on these big Magnum calibers. I really like the way muzzle brake feels in the big Magnum calibers. The suppressor takes a little bit of getting used to, but after I've now got 200 rounds through this setup, I'm pretty used to how it feels. It's more of a longer push. And once you get used to it, it's really not that bad. So that's going to be the caliber, the barrel, and the suppressor. The other things I want to notice on the rifle will be this MDT SkyPod. This thing is legit. Pay attention throughout the match. You're going to see where I'm shooting, there's a ton of down angle and up angle shots. And the flexibility to adjust this bipod were unbelievable and an absolute must-have in this match. So I didn't realize how great this bipod was until I shot in the very terrain that you're going to see in the match, but the ability to push those legs out wide, bring them together, and there's a ton of range when you pair it with this Fulcrum rear bag. Now the optic package, as I mentioned, the title of the video is going to be the Arken EP5 7-35 scope. This is a mil scope with their Christmas tree style reticle. If you're curious about the details on this scope, there's a ton of information online. Several other creators have put out some great videos, and I put out an initial impressions video speaking about my thoughts on this scope. What you're going to see in this video is me running this scope out to and beyond a mile. So if you're interested in how it performs, stick around because you're going to get a first-hand look at how it held up and performs for me. Just really quick, the scope is mounted in an Arken 20 MOA base. And that's going to bring me into the lesson that I learned when I took this thing out to 100 yards to get zeroed for the match. So at 100 yards, what I found, the Arken EP5 7-35 on this rifle in .338 Norma with a 300 grain SMK, 20 MOA base on top of my 10 mil rail on the MRAD, I could not achieve 100 yard zero. I could not get down to 100 yards. Now, unfortunately, I didn't zero the 100-yard process, or I didn't film the 100-yard process because I wasn't expecting to run into any kinks. I wanted to make this video more about shooting the match than 100 yards. So we're just going to chat about after the fact what happened. So what I found at 100 yards, even with the scope elevation dialed all the way down, I could not get to 100 yard zero. And that's what's reflected here. So when I was shooting my final rounds the night before the match at 100 yards, I was aimed at the notepad or the notebook holes here at the bottom of the paper. So each of these three were my aiming point at 100 yards. And what you can see with the elevation knob turned all the way down to the bottom of the scope, the lowest I could get my point of impact were these three groups right here. So these were my first 3 rounds of the night after installing the suppressor. Then I fired a 5-round group, and then I fired 3 more confirmation rounds because I did have to make a slight windage adjustment. So what you're going to see here, point of impact is above my point of aim. I'll use a tape measure and measure this. It's going to measure about just over 9.5 inches, or maybe 9 9/16 inches high that my point of impact landed. This is my point of aim. Not great, you're probably thinking. And when I'm out there on the range, I'm kind of scratching my head. What am I going to do? Night before the match, I've got 200 or almost 200 rounds of 300 grain Sierra Match Kings loaded up in the .338 Norma brass. It was kind of a problem. And then I realized in my Shooter Ballistic app, I actually have a 0 offset capability. So what I did is get my Shooter app, 100 yard zero. I measured my point of impact versus my point of aim. Again, that's about 9 9/16 or 9 5/8, roughly 9.625 inches. Go into my Shooter app, put in a 0 offset of 9.625, and call it good. And at that point, it's kind of a wing and a prayer. I headed out to the match with my 100 yard zero in the 9.625 inch offset. And thankfully, at the range, they had a 0 day where I could go out and kind of confirm my data, but I was just trusting my calculator. I used the G7BC that I pulled out of my FX True Ballistic Chronograph, G7 of 0.414, and I hit that 0 range. And what I found on the 0 range, first target I shot was at 1,300 yards. So the data out of my calculator on the 0 range, again, I didn't film this because I wanted to make this more about shooting the match. But what I found at 1,300 yards, the data that I just explained to you, 0.417 G7, a 9.625 inch offset at 100 yard zero, allowed me to make a first round impact at 1,300 yards on a plate that was probably 18 inches by 24 inches tall. It was a pretty decent sized plate. So right out of the gate, first round impact at 1,300 yards with this setup. So it's really cool to be able to trust your gear, especially your calculator, and trust the data that you're putting in as good. From there, they had a smaller plate at 1,300 yards. I shot that to kind of fine tune my G7BC. And what I found out there at 1,300 yards was slightly lower than a 0.414, something probably like a 0.405 is what I actually ran. But what I learned here is even though with the 20 MOA base on the 10 mil rail, I couldn't zero this scope at 100 yards, I was able to use my ballistic calculator to clean that up, and the data that I got out of the calculator was right. From there, I shot the rest of the match using that 100 yard zero with the offset. Running the numbers in my calculator, it turns out that's probably about a 550 yard zero that I was shooting. But what you're going to see throughout the match, I had no problems with the data. I had several first-round impacts on targets out at extreme distances. So I trust the information that's put into that calculator. So it's worth noting, while I couldn't zero at 100 yards, a true 100-yard zero, I was able to use my ballistic calculator, use the offset, and still make the impacts that I needed throughout the match. So that's the lesson I learned. I hope that's something cool. I was excited to share it with you. You got to let me know in the comments down below. Do you have a rifle that you can't get zeroed at 100 yards? Would the zero offset be something useful for you? So from here, let's move into the match footage. I filmed a little piece talking about where we shot. It was unbelievable out there in Preston, Idaho. I'm going to explain the match format. We're going to shoot through a bulk of the stages, and then we're going to wrap up here, and I'll give you my thoughts running this scope through its paces. 2 days of extreme long-range shooting. Now really quick before I start shooting, I want to take a couple of minutes and talk about the location that I'm at here in Preston, Idaho, as well as the format of the match. So first up will be the location, because this place is unbelievable. So the match I shot is the PRW Moses ELR Challenge, hosted at the Day Mountain Ranch in Preston, Idaho. Now prior to signing up for this match, I hadn't heard of the Day Mountain Ranch, but now that I've been here and shot this match, I want to take a minute and just talk about this location because it really is unbelievable. It's a long-range shooting paradise. So this location, as you can see behind me, much of what you're seeing in the hills there behind me, that is the ranch that we shot on. This particular location, actually they have a tower here. We can actually shoot almost 360 degrees. So the first day of the match, we had crazy winds, and you look at the terrain, we have some huge valleys. We're shooting over them. We might be shooting across 2 or 3 of them. We have shifting winds where valleys are coming together, doing crazy things. And I didn't realize until I went down to pull targets, but like my bullet, when I was shooting from this tower location clear across the 1,500 yards, I mean, it is hundreds of feet in the air. So you think about reading wind and the challenges, it's unbelievable. This is a one-of-a-kind shooting experience for the ELR shooter. So what do they have here at the ranch? Crazy terrain, beautiful location, the ability to stretch out to 2 miles. They've got steel put out all across these hills. So when it comes to long-range matches and destination locations, I would say this is one of them. The other really cool thing, so not only is this an awesome place to shoot, they've got great terrain, they've also got really unbelievable and a unique setup in that they have lodging on site here, beautiful accommodations. They've got cabins that you can rent. I know a handful of the guys brought their family out, they have kids and wives that went out and played during the day. They've also got bunk houses. If you just want to rent a bed, you can come stay in the bunk house. They're putting up some new individual hotel room type lodging where it's just a bed, kitchenette, just the basics. And all of that is available at a really reasonable price. Also, my match fee here included all of the meals. So we had some awesome catered meals, hamburgers, we had barbecue, I had a prime rib sandwich on Saturday, way better than the gas station food I'm used to at most matches. So as far as a destination shooting location, Day Mountain Ranch is one of a kind. It's definitely a place I'm going to be coming back to. I know there's a match here, a hunter match coming up in a couple of weeks. I already told myself I'm going to sign up because I want to come and shoot here again. And if you're like me, you probably hadn't heard of them prior to this video or prior to me shooting this match. I'm really excited to bring the word to you because I want to share this. I know they're very passionate. This is a family operation that loves long-range shooting, so it's really easy. Their interest jive with our community, so I'm really excited to show off this location to you. Now the other piece is the format of the match. If you're not familiar with ELR shooting, match format is very simple. 2.5 minute par time across all stages. We shot 16 stages, and all of the stages have 4 targets for the most part. A couple of them have 3. But the way the scoring works, first round impact counts as 2 points, second round impact counts as 1 point. If you miss twice, you move on to the next target. So in the footage, if I get a first round impact, I'm going to move to the next target. If I get a second round impact, I'm going to move to the next target, and if I miss twice, I'm going to move to the next target. So really simple when you're on the clock to figure out what you're shooting. It's pretty cool out here with the terrain they've got. We had up angle shots, down angle shots, we had wide field of fire. So if you watch my MDT bipod throughout the video, I'm going to be down with it wide, I'm going to bring it together. So while 2.5 minutes feels like a lot to shoot 4 targets, you got to be able to locate the targets out here in these hills. Get your rifle set up, get your dope set, engage the target, all of that before the 2.5 minute par time. So with that, let's move into the match footage, what I plan to do there. I'm not going to show all 16 stages. I'm going to splice in various stages to give you an idea of what the Arken did on the clock, how it performed, and at the end of the video, we'll meet back up and I'll chat about my experience shooting the Arken through 2 days of ELR match from about 700 to 1,500 yards. And then I'll give you an idea of how I finished in the match and what my thoughts are on the scope I've got a handful of rounds now, and I can't wait to share with you my opinion. So with that, let's move into the shooting portion.
Great windfall.
Yep, right over it.
Impact. Target 2.
Minute 30 left.
Impact. Target 3. Zach is on fire. Here's the redemption.
I hope.
Ooh,
Just under it.
it went right underneath.
Yeah, I think it was under it. Ah,
And that one's just off his nose. Target 4. Time check. Plenty of time, dude. Plenty of time. Impact! Way to save it, dude.
That was a bit of a rear bag issue, but I could see missing that first one. I had to go no bag and just use my fist.
That's always fun.
That's why that first one got launched high, you know.
30 seconds down.
No call.
Hey, just confirming, Zach, that you shot the low target.
yeah, that was my.
That was the low one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't see it either.
Yeah, I had no call, man.
All right, let's try one more.
Okay, I got that one.
That's an impact.
Impact, yep.
See it swinging?
Yeah, she's...
It's an impact.
Yeah, it's an impact.
Okay.
Crazy, man.
I have no idea where that first shot went.
Nor do I.
I don't either.
Felt good.
On number 2. Impact.
Left edge.
Yep.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, it did not...
Don't say that.
Finally, I gotta quit holding the dials. When you get in a hurry, you just over.
Oh,
No, no,
left.
It was swinging from here.
no, it's the wind blowing it. It missed. Impact.
Yeah.
Oh.
Barely nicked the left edge, but you nailed it.
I got you. Here comes the clean.
Man,
Here it comes. Dude, that's too good.
I know.
You can do it. I know you can.
I'm still debating my wind call though. Whoa.
Impact! The second round of impact, Pete. Way to correct.
Yeah, that worked
That was
out.
a big correction you made.
More wind than I thought.
That's deceptive, man. The grass isn't moving a whole lot. Minute 30 remaining.
What is?
Dude, shut your mouth.
Yeah,
Oh no,
that was a good shot.
that's weird.
I'm gonna send it same.
You're so brave. Same place, bro. They both went to the same place.
Dude, I dialed the wrong number. What an idiot. Okay.
That's actually what I was gonna say when I said I'm gonna shut the
Yeah,
mouth,
you're.
because I didn't know if you did or not.
I got
1 minute remaining.
I got confused on my data card, man. Oh well.
It's all good. At least you know it's consistent. Your system was working
Yeah.
for the same place. All right, let's get this shit right here. It's crazy. I can't even see any traces.
Impact.
In the head. Second round impact on 3. Nice. 30 seconds. Plenty of time, dude. Don't rush it. Plenty of time. $15 seconds.
Ah.
Oh, dude. Stages like this, I wish we had more.
What'd you decide you're doing?
Well, that last shot.
Well, now it's fat. It looks kind of calm. I probably could go with the
2 minutes.
I'm thinking now that I'm feeling this more again, I'm back in. I think it's there.
Ah.
Target 2.
Impact. Clean.
Yeah, just turn left.
Center mass.
1:15 left.
This did not hurt my neck.
50 seconds.
Target 4.
What's my time?
Seconds.
Man,
5 seconds.
I know it's up there. Where is it at?
It's in that tree, the trees at the top right,
Yeah?
right below it.
I got you for the 1 second round impact.
Thank you. I'm just trying to find that target.
Way up here, dude. Go to the green trees way at the top
Okay?
on that other peak.
Yeah?
Come down below them into the meadow.
Oh, dang it. I was looking on the road.
Look what that mirage is doing too. Impact! Target 2. Looking good.
What's that animal?
It's good. He's out of the way. You're good. Impact! Target 3.
Ooh.
Impact!
Good start. Oh, wow. Come on. Way off on the bipod.
2 minutes.
Okay.
130.
All right.
Impact! Yeah. Target 3. 1 minute remaining. Impact! Attaboy, Zach! Freaking solid, dude. Ooh, just barely. Impact! Yeah. Attaboy. I do like that we're not rushed now.
Jump us in at the right spot.
You played that off really well.
I only did
So you still were using left wind?
yeah, it's basically
Yeah, I'm going 0.5 left.
Calling his shot right now. Minute 45 remaining.
All right.
Impact.
Left edge.
Yes, sir.
All right. Here we go.
First round impact, boys. Looking good.
All right, I got it.
Looking good again. It's over the top, man. Goes whisker off.
Yeah.
Target 2. Minute remaining. Plenty of time. Oh, gosh, bro.
We're right there.
He's gonna get it right here.
Dude, wow.
I mean, you're right there, Zach.
they're tiny, bro.
Impact! First round!
Wow. Holy cow. Flipped it around. So let's cut in really quick. I want to give you a close-up view of what we just shot at 1,000 yards. So my scope, I was shooting about 20 to 25 power, and here's the actual target. So I got a first round impact here on the cider plate to my right, and then I missed on each of the first 2 of the prairie dogs, and then I connected first round impact on this skinny guy right here. So look at what we're shooting. I mean, this thing is like maybe 2 inches wide here at 1,000 yards. That's pretty nuts for that Arken scope. I'm quite impressed. And there's another tree limb. looking through the grass.
Impact. Second round impact. Target 1. Target 2. Impact. First round impact. Target 2. Minute 30 remaining. Impact. Impact.
Way to nail it quick.
7 points.
Okay, a little bit of bonus footage. You gotta let me know in the comments down below how you felt like the Arken performed through 2 days of ELR competition. Myself, I was pretty impressed. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Now with that, I've got a handful of rounds loaded up or left over from the match, and the Day Mountain crew has been super gracious to give us the opportunity here before we run out of light to send some rounds over a mile. I thought that'd be super fun to try to include in this video. So we've got a large square target out there. I don't know how big it is, 2,135 yards, and with light fading, let's see if we can connect. So remember, we're shooting the 300 grain SMK from Sierra at about 2750 feet per second. We're gonna run the true ballistic chronograph and see what the data says. So elevation in my calculator is 21.5 mils of elevation, so we'll dial that on. There's 10, 20, there's 21, and 0.5. Oh, we're way below the target. So that was quite a bit of elevation. And for the Arken, here's 7 power for reference. Quite the image. And then you roll that up. There's 35 power. And there we are. So I'm actually going to shoot this back, something like that, which is about 25 power. Here we go. I'm going to send my first round holding 1 mil left. Get level. Here we go. Ooh, no call.
Your elevation is perfect. You're left of the plate about 3/4 of the plate.
Okay, so
Over to the right.
got the Day Mountain crew out here helping me out. So elevation sounded good
You're by the T-post.
by the T-post. So let's cut that back from 1 mil to, let's go a 1/2 mil. There's a 1/2 mil to center. Impact. Bottom edge of plate. So let's bring it up 2/10. Second round impact at 2135.
Center of the plate, left and right. Your wind is clear.
All right, wind was good. Let's send some more.
No call.
No call on that one either.
Right in the bush above.
Here we go. Yeah, let's come down a 1/10. Impact.
Right above it.
Look at that.
Almost center plate.
Here we go again. Right in the dirt.
Below the plate.
That round ran a little bit slow. Same hold. Impact.
Right.
I tried to get 2 in the air. That sounded like an impact.
Like that second one might have been an impact.
Yeah, I think I heard one.
First one hit the right of the plate.
All right, let's stay on that 1/2 mil hold.
No call.
Yeah, now I'm getting mirage off my suppressor.
Oh, bottom right hand corner.
Where was that?
I think the bottom right hand corner, but I'm not positive.
I'm gonna come up a 1/10. And let's favor a 1/2 to left edge. impact. Oh,
Your height was perfect. You were about
wow.
8 inches from left end edge.
Man, I cannot wait to hear the comments on that one. 338 Norma, 2,135 yards. We're up 21.7 mils, it looks like. Pretty consistent. Let's see what the chronograph said. So my velocity was up just a bit, average of 2763, SD of 8.2, and I calculated G7 BC of 0.465. So that's really impressive for a $600 scope. Well, there you have it. 2 days of extreme long-range match shooting with the Arken EP5 7-35 on top of my suppressed 338 Norma. Now you've got to let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about the performance of this optics through the match? Do you feel like the optic held me back in any way, or did it exceed your expectations? I'd love to hear from you down below. Now while you're doing that, let's chat about my experience in the match running the EP5. Now you're probably wondering how I finished. I wrapped up with 48 points, which was 82% of what the winner had, I believe at 58 or 59 points. That placed me 10th out of 30 shooters, or top third. Overall, I'm happy with that. Always wish I'd scored a little bit better. Feel like I made a handful of mistakes on some stages that cost me points and ultimately positions, because the top of that match was very tightly packed. One stage I carried 7 rounds up there instead of 8, so I missed a shot or lost a shot. Couldn't find targets on a couple of stages, timed out a couple of times, and I had some pretty bad wind calls a couple of times. Had I cleaned those things up, I feel like I could have done better, but ultimately I had a ton of fun out there at the Day Mountain Ranch. Cannot wait to shoot another ELR match out there. It was a blast. Performance of the scope. Let's talk about that. So ultimately, durability-wise, I'm impressed. 200 rounds of 338 Norma, suppressed, that's no joke. There's a lot of movement out of this rifle. Fairly sharp recoil impulse, and I felt like the scope held up quite well. So happy with the durability. Tracking, very happy with. Now remember, at 100 yards, I was zeroed 9 inches high. We used the offset. Now what that meant is, when I was taking those shots out there to say 1,500 yards, which was the max in the match, I was only up 10.5 mils, which is just barely over 1 rev. So 1 rev on this optic is 10 mils. That's a win in my opinion, because it makes it easy to dial in to that second rev. 10.5, for example, is 1 rev and then 0.5. So I like the 10 mil revolution, and actually I like the 0 offset. It actually worked out kind of in my favor. I was nervous ahead of the match to be an offset like that. I'd never shot like that before, but what I found is, for this match, it actually worked out quite well, because it kept pretty much all of my shots within that first revolution, or if I had to go into the second, just barely into the second. You did see me dial up for that 2100 shot. That was actually just over 2 revs up. So tracking wise throughout the scope, what you saw at 2100 yards, that first round landed just off the plate. Elevation was perfect. So that tells me the data I had in my calculator was spot on, and the tracking of this scope was spot on. So happy with the tracking. Glass-wise, again, I'm quite happy with it. Now, after the match, I had the opportunity to shoot a Schmidt & Bender 5-25 on top of an AI, a Night Force, I believe it was a 7-35 on top of an AI. Thank you to the subscriber that let me shoot that was there at the match. It was a blast getting to shoot with you. And then a Tangent Theta, I believe it was a 5-25 on top of a Cadex Kraken rifle. Beautiful rifle. That was the guys there from Wind River Armory out of Pinedale, Wyoming. I've shot a couple of matches with them now. They're great folks, and I have a ton of fun shooting with them. So thank you to each of you for letting me put rounds through your rifle. Glass-wise, what I would say after the match and after comparing to those other rifles and other optics would be, while the glass is probably not the greatest in the industry, the glass is very functional and very usable. So what I found throughout the match is it was fine. The glass was great. It allowed me to spot conditions downrange. I could see mirage when I needed to. I could see grass blowing, kind of a wind call or an idea of what the wind was doing. And then I was able to spot my impacts. I was able to see splash out there. There was a couple of rounds that kind of disappeared on me, but for the most part, I could see splash to make my corrections. And then what I found is corrections were solid. When I saw something, measured it, made that correction, assuming nothing like windage changed, I made my impact. So very usable and functional glass. The other thing I like about this optic would be the reticle, with one caveat. So I like the reticle in that it's a Christmas tree, and I like the reticle in that it's very open. So there's a lot of open space in this reticle. There's not a ton of clutter and dots, etc. I like how open it is, and I like the Christmas tree design because I do like to hold in space for certain shots. You didn't see me really doing that in this match, and that's the caveat. The caveat would be I wish there was a little bit finer increment along the windage line, something like a 0.2 hash, especially for a stage like the 1,000-yard prairie dog. Yes, I connected on that last prairie dog, which is about a 2.5-inch wide target. I was holding, I think it was about 0.6 mils to the left. I did that by holding the 0.5 hash just on the left of the prairie dog. I wish there was just a little bit finer graduation along that windage line. For me, it's not a deal breaker, especially when you consider the price point. This is a $600 optic. What I saw on those other scopes that I ran side by side, the Schmidt, the Night Force, and the Tangent, sure, they all have those finer increments, but they're thousands of dollars more. So while they're thousands of dollars or more, and they're gonna get me a little bit finer reticle, what I found is, price point wise, this optic performed great, and I'm very happy with the performance. So in summary, I'm happy with this Arken optic. I tell you what, prior to running this scope, prior to trying Arkens for myself, yes, Arken sent this out to me. They've sent out all of the Arkens that you've seen on the channel. Prior to actually trying one of these scopes, I probably would not have considered myself a believer. I felt like maybe they were too good to be true. The level of performance that folks were claiming at the price point to me just didn't sound right, didn't make sense. But I tell you what, now that I've got rounds on them and I've actually started to use them, I'm able to say with confidence I would spend my own money on one. So pretty cool to see the level of performance you're able to get out of a scope like this. Now with that said, let's go ahead and wrap up. And I want to mention, I appreciate each of you that are supporting the channel. There's a ton of you that come in and comment, you're subscribed. You're helping me grow this channel. I'm seeing growth every day, and I appreciate each of you for that. Now, how can you help me grow this channel? Well, one thing that I'm really excited about with Arken in particular is a discount code that I can provide to you. Now, with that in mind, if you're thinking of making a purchase of an Arken optic, I'd ask that you use my discount code, MULLETS, to make your purchase. The code MULLETS through Arken is going to get you the best deal possible there online, but it's also going to help me out in that it gives me a bit of a kickback to help create content for you. So every purchase that you make through Arken, best deal for you, provide me a bit of a kickback that I then reinvest into the channel to keep creating this content. I love making it, and the growth excites me. And this is just another way to partner through Arken to help grow the channel through the kickback and the benefit to you. Other ways that you can help me grow this channel would be subscribe to my content. If you subscribe, you're there, you're in line for my next video drop to see what's coming. Also, liking this video and commenting down below. That shows the algorithm that you like what I'm doing, you're supporting me, and it's gonna expose my video to more of you so that the growth continues to happen. So with that, if you've made it this far, I know this is a long video. I had a ton of fun making this video. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about anything. What you thought about the Arken scope, what you thought about 338 Norma caliber, my new Mark 22 suppressor. I'd love to chat about it. If you got a video idea, let me know. Let's hear it down below. So with that, thanks for watching. I hope I'll join you in my next video.